Hey everyone, welcome to the Vegan Stew. I'm Helene, and we have a great show for you tonight, which is every week, but you never know. So let's see. Let's say thank you to Terra Seed for sponsoring this month's Virtual Veg Fest Live all over the place because we've got so many. We got two yogas, fireside chat with Kimberly, the Vegan Stew, and Coach Kayla the first Wednesday of the month when we take a break. It's lots of stuff that you can watch. And the newest show is on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. with World Peace Yoga. Anna at you can do yoga twice a week. Tomorrow at 12:30, Thursday, and Tuesdays at 11. It's fantastic. If you want to win some prizes, all you have to do is go to virtualvegfestlive.com, hit the contest tab, and you can win prize packs from Terra Seed, Hodo Foods, Veg Key, Follow Your Heart, Revolution Gelato, Rebel Cheese, Cinnaholic, and Fabulous. If you'd like to win free stuff, all you have to do is do our wish pond, and you can do nifty things like subscribing to the Vegan Stew on YouTube. You'll get points and you'll get entered to win. Let's see. Our topic tonight is one that I think only Marla Rose knows what it is about because it is time-saving vegan tips. And I can't wait to know what the topic is about because when we figured it out last week and we said, "Hey Marla, you're hosting," she was like, "Oh, great." It was her topic. So we will learn along with you. And then of course current events and conversation. And you can join in by doing like comments. Write your little comments in there, anything you want to say, any questions, and we'll definitely address them. And let's see, let's get everyone onto the panel. Welcome Marla Rose from Vegan Street.
Mhm.
And we have Dawn, the vegucator from Urban Eats. And we've got Kimberly from Did You Bring the Hummus? And in a little while, we will have Sangeeta from Tilted Planet. She'll be joining us in about 10 minutes. So this week, I wanted to mention, as I was eating dinner, which I don't normally do before the show, I don't normally do that. As I was eating dinner, I was like, what am I going to do? I want to do like a trigger topic, kind of like we did last week, right? Dawn and Kimberly, it was Marley, you missed it, but it was really cool because it kind of fed us into the show. And I was thinking, I'm eating my leftovers from last night. And last night it was go out to eat or make something because we went to a show in Durham. And I decided because I was thinking lemons that I was going to cook instead of going out to eat. Very interesting that it stemmed from lemons, but I have fresh lemons in the house and I wanted to use them. And then I thought, well, Stephen mentioned pasta. So I said, okay, I have lemons, I have peas, I have pasta. How am I going to use the lemons? Well, I made a tofu cashew cream sauce and
Mm.
put 2.5 lemons in it and mixed that up.
Ooh.
I made the pasta and the peas and mixed it all together. And that was dinner. And it was fantastic for leftover today. And hi, Diane. Thanks for joining us. And I want to throw it at all of you because that's like, one of the things that I do. It's like I kind of stem a meal around a certain food. Do you ever do that?
A lot. Do you mean like you have, maybe a certain ingredient that's going to go bad if you don't use it, or just a lot of times in the summer we have like a bumper crop of zucchini or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think I rarely am sitting there with like a cookbook and plan. It's just a lot of it's just kind of what you call it, just spontaneous. How about you guys?
So for me, yeah, I'm kind of like Marla because I did meal prep and I do cater. I've been catering for 20 plus years. So 25 plus years. So yeah, I kind of I'm inspired by what's in the fridge, and I kind of shop though. I shop with that in mind. Like, what do I want to pull out of the pantry? Um, I don't buy things that I don't want to pull out of the pantry. And even if they stay too long, they'll stay in the crisper a little longer. Yeah. So I do some. I'm inspired by a lemon citrus though. Citrus has never inspired me to do the whole dish, but I like the idea of that as it gets warmer because there's so many opportunities to use it. You can roast them, you can put them in your cashew cheese. So yeah, it can be inspiring, but I don't know. Cashews probably would have inspired me in that mix versus or the peas, but
Right.
never just a citrus. Never just a citrus. I haven't had that happen.
Kimberly?
For me, I'm still really learning that process, I guess. When I first went vegetarian, I couldn't cook at all, and I've been slowly learning over, the last couple of decades. But I used to rely so heavily on recipes. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to make a meal plan. I'm going to look at all these recipes. I'm going to buy everything I need for that. And that's how I'm going to decide what I eat every night. And as I'm sure you all know, most of that stuff ends up like wilted and rotting and then in the garbage. So I'm slowly learning that, like, to kind of look at a vegetable or kind of a centerpiece of the meal and be like, how can I build around that?
Right.
So yeah, still a learning process for me.
Yeah, that's really cool because it really did. It stemmed from I wanted to use the lemons, and I still can on potatoes because I want to roast potatoes and put lemon on top of it. It's gonna be so good. But I just need to come up with and get inspired by something to make. And instead of eating out, because eating out so easy, but I decided like it's also really unhealthy. So I think that's a great way to segue to Dawn for our current events, our news.
Well, thank you. So this news today is really environmental and really about protecting our planet. Let me see who the news source was. We always do sourcing here at the Vegan Stew. We're not fake news here. So just to let you guys know. Plant-based news. The German company called Green Force did a huge study and released some data about the impact of going plant-based for 2 days a week. And it's just phenomenal. When you hear this number, you're going to be blown away. But switching to a plant-based diet 2 days a week saves greenhouse gas emissions. 13 is the equivalent of planting 13.88 billion trees and the equivalent of 291 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions not putting into the environment. So, I mean, that's huge. That's the equivalent of planting 13.88 billion trees 2 days a week. So if adults in the UK, and this is a study that was done in the UK. So adults in the UK, their analysis found adults in the UK, they would save 298 million metric tons. So of course, this also applies to, countries similar, high income countries, and with that ability really could drastically reduce their carbon footprint by up to 2/3.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Just from 2 days a week. So one of the guys, Patrick, the strongman guy.
Oh yeah, German.
Strong Patrick, German guy. So he actually is an environmentalist. He's just not doing it for the muscles, not trying to die. He actually had a quote. It said, "The environmental impact of modern meat-heavy diets is massive. This means we have great opportunity to make big savings on our carbon footprints, as well as our land and water footprints by altering our food choices. Just by switching a few meals a week to a plant-based diet, we can make an incredibly positive impact on climate and help preserve our land, soils, and water systems." I think people forget about water systems. They forget about soil degradation and deforestation. It kind of gets lost because we're thinking about cutting down trees. But there's so many other aspects to it than that. And we have kids and grandkids and family members that we want soil, soil matters, about how things are going to grow if you're depleting the soil. So all this is great news. So imagine if just 2 meals a week changes 13.88 billion trees and 291 million metric tons. Imagine what 3 days a week would do, 4 days a week.
Amazing.
So we still have a shot. We still have a shot, guys. So just encourage people to go plant-based.
That's good to know.
No, we only have a small window. So to be honest, especially environmentally. So at some point we can't reverse the clock back. So I'm big on the environment. I don't know if I'm always talking about health, but my other thing is that I'm very big on environmental impacts. If anybody knows an environmental organization that's vegan,
Climate healers.
Oh, you told me that last time. I'm going to join them because I'm about that life.
You definitely should, because that's Celeste Rao who started Climate Healers, climatehealers.org for anybody. And that's Patrick Boublian is his name. He's amazing. He's one of the strongest people in the world. And not strongest vegan person in the world. He's one of the strongest in the world. So I met him in Asheville when he came to speak there, and he's not that tall, and he's like really cool. He's a really cool man.
Like a house, right?
So was he in that movie? The movie, the last documentary, the one was Climate. He was in there.
Shoot,
Uh,
Kimberly,
I
you know.
can't forget it.
The
You
one
know
with
what
the
I'm talking
athletes in it. It's not what the
about.
hell.
No,
it's
no,
called.
not
Game
that.
Changers.
Game
No,
Changers.
not that one. No,
That one?
not that one. I'm talking about the what about the ocean and the sea, and they were
Oh,
out there.
Seaspiracy.
Seaspiracy, which wasn't that good, but yeah, was he in that one?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't
Oh,
know.
hey,
I think he was, but I
Sri
look
Lanka's
forward
in the
to.
house. Hey, holidays in Sri Lanka. That's
Hi,
awesome.
Sri Lanka.
So that was worth cutting
So
everybody off.
yeah. So anyway, bottom line is, let's save 13.88 billion trees and try to invent. Just don't try to get it. If you have a friend, just one friend that would be willing to just 2 days a week. Just don't. They might not want to do the whole 7 days, but if we can get them to do 2 days a week, we're saving millions of metric tons, and we're saving the planet. So let's go.
Yeah,
do
you can feed
do you
feed them
guys
like
remember that
I'm hyped about this. Yeah.
it was like a toy or game called Monkeys in a Barrel, where you tried to get, you had one monkey and you would dip him in this barrel and try to
you hook them. Yeah, little curvy arm. I remember.
Yeah, and you try to hook other monkeys and get the other monkey. Yeah, so I'm going somewhere with this. The point is, I think we need to look at our advocacy like that. It's just like,
right.
You know, we're not probably going to expect to say the magic words and turn the world vegan, but what we can do is hook the monkeys. You know, because
It's so interesting you say that, because you really think kids of today would play with that?
it's such a fun toy. I'm thinking I need to find that.
Compared to their phones. I mean, I know it's the barrel of monkeys. It's the thing of monkeys. Yeah.
I think this is a topic for another
Right.
stew, but my eternal question is, and I don't mean to go dark and negative, but it's like we have this very, very compelling, very dark, very what should be very motivating information, and how do we get through to people? How do we help them to, actually envision doing this themselves? So I think there's like no shortage of the information. It's a lack of being able to communicate it in ways that are compelling to people. And that's where, and we don't have a lot of time to futz around, as Don was saying, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it just. Go ahead,
sorry.
Helen.
I was saying it's a great segue into what Sodexo is doing on the college campuses, and that they're going to turn their meals into 42% plant-based by, I think, 2025. So that's, if you want to do the 2 days a week for the plant-based meals, and they're going to do 42% of their meals as plant-based by 2025, then we should easily get to the 2 day a week plant-based meals on college campuses. And they
Go
have
to your college campus. Hospitals too are often, Sodexo, catered or whatever. Yeah.
that would be absolutely amazing.
Students are demanding this.
Yes.
Actually, my daughter went to A&T and played tennis there, and it's a historically Black college in Greensboro, and they had vegan. I mean, they had a vegan section. They had a vegan station. There's not just a salad bar. This is 2014. This is a long time ago. This 2014. And then they had an entire vegan station, and they had a cook. And of course, they don't even take up their trays anymore. They come and get them. It's a whole thing. It's like a whole thing. And then they had they have quite a few options. They have vegan options. So this is just more of the same, and it's just picking up steam. So if this happening at historical Black colleges and on campuses, it's happening everywhere. And that was 2014 when I saw that, and I was a little shocked because we didn't have those options when I was in college.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm very excited about the opportunity. So that's good, Helene.
Yeah, that's
There's a great.
Hi, Sandy.
Hello.
Hi. There's a great quote in the article about this from one of their senior vice presidents. He said, "When you see that there are more than 20,000 known edible plants on our planet, yet our food only comes primarily from a dozen of them, there's definitely an opportunity to change and discover new ways of eating." Today, we're
That's
looking
good.
at helping consumers to see new ways to adopt more sustainable diets.
Did he say there are 20,000, only 20,000 edible plants? That's not true.
No, he said there are more than 20,000
Oh.
known edible plants.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
significantly more than that. But he means
Yeah.
plants, green plants, not beans and legumes and stuff. I get it.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well,
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Sangeeta, I'm going to give you the option because we started the show with me saying that when I was cooking last night, I kind of stemmed my meal around one piece of food, like a lemon, and I wanted to use lemons to cook with it. Do you ever have that where you pick a food that you look at the food and you go, I'm going to make dinner, or like, gulab jamun or something around that, which I would love again, just hint, hint.
No, I don't have those skills. My cooking skills are pretty limited because my husband is the primary cook. But when I have to cook, I depend upon my Indian repertoire.
And
no,
the
that's not
gulab
a bad
jamuns are
repertoire.
Yeah, I know,
incredible. Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, and Dawn, I need to tell you how easy it is to sprout.
Yes, you owe me a lesson. So we have to do that another
I
time.
do.
It's
Yeah.
put in water,
Yeah.
let it sit in water, clean the water, let it go
I'm
back to
so-
sit in
I'm
water.
so impatient. Oh, it's like sea moss. So
There
it's
you
like
go.
so it's like sea moss, but it's like sea moss. Sea moss. Wash it and rinse it. Let it. But I'm so impatient. I need it now. So I'm at, yeah.
I mean, for chickpeas, it takes maybe 2 days.
Well, the
Mhm.
easiest thing is how to learn to sprout is to start with moong dal, not dal,
Moon
but
dal.
the
Mhm,
whole,
moon dal. Mhm.
the whole green
Right.
looking moongs, and
Mhm.
you put them in the water about half an inch to an inch water above the beans, and in the night, like if you started that in the morning, then in the night rinse that water out, and next morning you will have nice sprouts.
Okay.
That's fast.
That's thank you. Everyone thank Sangeeta for the cooking 101 and sprouting 101.
Well,
This is
also
good. No,
known
I appreciate that.
as a vegan time-saving tip.
Ooh,
Okay, Marla, take
Segue.
us away.
Segue. Helene, big segue.
a segue is coming up. We need some music to
And we
transition
also
us.
need our implements. We didn't have our implements today. I'm using my pen.
I've got a pen. Do you guys have?
I've got a pen.
I have
Okay,
one.
the pen.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's just okay.
Okay. So that is our segue. Tonight's episode is we're going to be discussing time-saving tips in the kitchen. So a lot of times you might think, well, the easiest way to save time is to go through the drive-through at Taco Bell, but we're talking about, how you can eat, probably mostly homemade while, reducing your time spent in the kitchen. So I'm going to ask you guys, put you all on the spot, and just say what is the first one that pops in your mind as to your top, one of your first tips for saving time in the kitchen with fresh foods. So
Prep.
So Don says prep. So
come from the store and immediately rinse, cut, wrap or whatever and prep. Dice, slice and bag or whatever. Wrap it up depending on what you're doing. That's a huge time saving.
So by that you mean you're not prepping and then cooking right away. You're prepping for when you cook down the road. So
I'm prepping all of it. Like I prep onions in different sizes. I mince them, I dice them, and I do that. And then I have different cuts for the bell peppers. I might do ones for strips because I'm having salads, and I do keep smaller ones. And then I might put some garlic. I get all my garlic and I put it in the food processor so I can have minced garlic. And then some I roast. I just take 2 of them and I might roast those. But all of my aromatics, I'm prepping them when they come from the store. So and my green leafies.
Right. That's an example of something that on the surface seems like, oh my God, that's going to take so much time. But what it does is it front loads the time and then it reduces it greatly over the week. So Yeah. And then I think it also encourages healthier eating, right? Because you don't have an excuse not to throw more fresh vegetable because it's already prepped, So
As
who's
long
got
as it's
the
properly prepped, though, it has to be wrapped. Like you can't prep it and then it's put it in a bag. Like you can't put like spinach in a bag. It just
right,
came out of a bag. You
right.
got to wrap it in paper towel. Okay, sorry. Net,
No, no,
go
no,
somebody
no,
else.
it's good.
No, but certain things you have to just. It's just got to be a technique. Yeah, they'll go bad if you don't properly
Right.
do it. So just that's a part of it too. But
Right. That was one of the things we actually talked about the last one I was on is to know the best way to store the different items because like for example fresh basil goes bad in the fridge. It's very sensitive, so if you throw you wash your fresh basil but you throw it in the fridge, it's gonna get weird. So get a little more familiar with some of the items that you're buying. So who's got a next quick kitchen tip? Okay, Kimberly. Yeah.
Batch cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I do it, I'll preheat my oven, wash the potatoes, get the potatoes in the oven. And at the same time, while the potatoes are cooking, maybe I throw rice into a pot, get that cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll prep, vegetables, maybe a pot of lentils. And then throughout the week, because I do the vegetable prep like Dawn was talking about as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that all happens like in the course of an hour and a half, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got food ready to go where I could even just throw rice into a bowl, top it with the veggies in the microwave for a few seconds. Now I have a hot meal and it's loaded with all kinds of good stuff.
That's awesome. So by batch cooking, my understanding is a lot of times it's just one dedicated day or session a week. So by batch cooking, Kimberly means you're making a bunch of servings at once. So that's your day off, whether it's Sunday or whatever, And I find I find it to be enjoyable in kind of a ritualistic way. Like that's the time I put aside to listen to my favorite podcast, or that's the time, or whatever, So it's another kind of example like Dawn's of on the surface, it seems like, oh my God, that's so much time, but it saves so much time over the week. So.
And I would say too, if you're prepping a lot of rice,
Mm-hmm.
freeze some of it in like single servings or however many servings you'll need, because by the time you get to the end of the week, your rice may not be so fresh anymore.
Right,
but if you freeze it, you can very quickly thaw it out, cook it, and then it's fresh almost like the day that you made it.
Fresh as a daisy. That's awesome. All right, Helene.
This is probably an awkward conversation for me and Sangeeta. I do cook. Sangeeta doesn't really cook. But I don't I want to go to your houses. I don't do that. I don't prep freely. I don't batch cook. I literally walk into the kitchen, look around and say, what do I have? What am I going to make? It's not the best sometimes because when I'm hungry, it's worse.
Yeah.
So I guess a very good tip is to don't wait until you're too hungry to go into the kitchen to cook something, because you will not cook something, you will snack. And that's not healthy for you. So you want to make sure that when you feel that hunger, you kind of go, I think I'm hungry. Well, let me go figure out what I'm going to make. It's not that I haven't prepared stuff before, but I don't dedicate a day to prepare anything. I it would make sense, but I don't. Steven will make sauce like on a weekend. It's really good. And that'll kind of play into making pizza, because we kind of have to prepare to make dough because we make our own. So it's like, well, let's make the pizza dough. And then you want it to sit for a few days in the fridge, even though we can make it the same day. Then we have the sauce and make sauce. And we will make pasta. What kind of pasta are we going to do? Like, what are we going to do with the sauce? Because we're going to eat it on something and go the Italian route. So yeah, it's just, I'm so impressed. Dawn, the idea of coming home and doing all that from the supermarket is, I get it, and I totally get why it saves you time later.
Right.
But that's like so diligent, and that's why you're the chef.
No, sometimes I don't do it, but I do. But if I have a bag, but I buy 2 pounds of onions, I don't buy small batches. I'm used to cooking,
Right.
like Kimberly said. I'm used to cooking for customers, catering. So although I don't do that aspect of the business anymore, that's not really my focal point of the business. My habit has been that, and I grew up an only child, but I always was around a lot. I always around a lot of people. So I don't know how to make for less than
Small.
10. I don't really. So when people say you having 10 people over, I'm like, oh, that's like one person. And then, yeah. But anyway, go ahead, Sangeeta. I mean, so I don't know how to do small, so it makes sense for
Right.
me.
Yeah.
It just feels it feels normal.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. How about you, Sangeeta?
Yeah, so I still make most of my lunches,
Mhm.
and my way to save time is to get nature to do part of the work. So I do a lot of soaking and sprouting. Everything I cook, like every grain, pretty much rice, lentils, beans, I soak them. Soak them in the morning, and it makes it easier to cook because they're soft, they're halfway there,
Right.
actually.
More
You,
digestible.
more digestible, more tastier, and you're spending less energy to cook them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then you can, a lot of times on a Saturday morning, I will have a bunch of things sprouting and fermenting. Um, and then by Sunday, they're sprouted, fermented, and I'll put them in the refrigerator or freezer. And then I will take it out for cooking every morning, whichever beans or lentils I feel like eating that morning.
Right. Yeah. That makes
That's
sense.
good.
You're thinking ahead. I mean, and to the point where it's just now a habit, which always makes things easier, when it's
Mhm.
just I'm always going to be doing this. Yes, Helene.
So, brown rice, soak it, don't soak it, wash it, don't wash it. Arsenic,
Arsenic.
Bueller,
Yeah.
thoughts?
We soak it.
I do
I
soak
soak it.
brown rice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, what I do is when we bring rice from uh, grocery store, I wash all of it. Like I wash all of it. I soak all of it for 6, 7, 8 hours, and then I spread it on a piece of cloth, let it dry, and it's not too much of work. I'm not doing much work. It's all just the time. I can. It is drying. I'm not doing anything. Once it dries, I put it back in the container and put it in the refrigerator or not.
Mhm.
And then that rice is ready to cook anytime you want to make a rice.
Mhm. Yes, done.
So now, if it's a rice that needs to be rinsed, you rinse it, of course, and you want to just make a habit of rinsing your rice, your brown rice. But
Right.
if it's parboiled already, it's already been soaked. So I just would look, if you're looking for something that's parboiled,
Mhm.
that's already had it's already been treated to some degree.
Mhm.
So I don't know that you wouldn't do that for parboiled rice.
Right.
Like a parboiled rice would be like Uncle Ben's, and some of your success rice, those rices that have already been, treated, if you will, not treated, but already been
Right.
heated to some degree. So that was my response to Helene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, Kimberly.
This is more of a time saving tip in that it means I don't have to cook rice multiple times because I'm likely to burn it if I just put it in a pot with the measured amount of water,
Right.
cover it, and then it never cooks properly. I boil my rice like pasta. So
Yeah, I
rinse
read
it,
that
put it
too.
in a pot, boil it, and then I can dump it out in a strainer,
Right.
spread it out, and then like get it in the fridge.
Right. So in that case, you cook it for the amount of time you normally would, except you're straining it at the end because there's
I
leftover.
think it ends up being less time. I
Okay.
think on average it's like 35 minutes. I do a lot of short grain brown rice,
Okay.
and it's 35 minutes because it's in the water as the water starts
It's
to get hot,
moving around
and
more.
then it's
Yeah.
boiling. And yeah, that's the time it takes for me. So I know that Dawn is probably very offended because no chef would actually make their rice like that. But it allows me to not burn it in the pot.
Guys,
So.
don't fight. Don't fight. No.
No, I do have something on that though.
Yes.
There are two things that are like very easy to buy and access, or a steamer. a rice steamer. Very easy to get. And if you're not into the steaming,
Yeah.
your what is it called?
Instant
Instapot.
pot. Yep.
Instant Pot. I mean, it makes no fuss, no muss, perfect rice every time. You just
That's
dump the
how I
whole
eat.
thing in there, and then you can just then you do what Kimberly said, which is put it in your. I have 24-ounce containers that I use, the 24s. Sometimes you have the 8s, but the 12s, but then the 24 is best for me. And then, I'm sorry, 32s, the 32-ounce lidded, and put them in the put them in the oven. I mean, the freezer, and they're good for like 3 months. They're 3 months good,
Mm-hmm.
unless
Wow, that's
you
crazy.
know if it's tightly sealed.
Hmm. Hmm. So, we've talked about rice. So I was
We
going to
did.
mention,
We did.
a lot of what I do is trying to, I do like to cook, but I'm also just very time crunched always, like everyone. So
Mhm.
I've developed some different strategies over the years. And I'm curious what you guys think of some of them for saving time in the kitchen. One, in some of these, also crossover in that they're helpful for saving money, which is an interesting,
That's
nice
always good.
little, yeah, yeah. Efficiency is always, I love efficiency. So one of my first tips is to make a weekly meal plan, especially if you have kids. I think it's helpful. And stick to a grocery list. And then, like we were talking, Don and I were geeking out about how you can actually make a list that goes in the direction of how you shop, and that
Yeah,
cuts your time down. I
yeah.
don't want to
Marla and I
know.
can shop together. Marla and I can hang out together in the
Right,
store.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we'd
just
be
like,
cool.
you
Yeah.
do not put like marinara next to broccoli. No, no, no. I want to
Yeah,
know the
you're
order
cutting through
of
the store. You're cutting through the store.
those little things will. Hi, Susan. Those little things will cut your time down a bit. Like it takes a little spontaneity out of things, but then you know what you're eating, and you're not necessarily buying spontaneous little unnecessary things, which we tend to do. um, Another tip I have, curious what you guys think about this, is to keep a well-stocked kitchen, especially pantry items and freezer items and long-lasting items like onions and potatoes, because then if you can make a spontaneous meal, like a chili or something like that, because you've got chickpeas, you've got tomato sauce, you've got this and that helps to cut down your time. Helene,
Now you're talking my language.
what?
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
I have a house where literally if an army came, I could feed them. And that I'm not exaggerating. Like one of my friends stated, one of the friends who stays with the dogs when we go away, said that if there's ever the world falling apart, that she's coming here because there's so much food in the house. Our pantry is just filled with stuff. And we've been doing better with not having like eating through the food that's
Right,
here.
right, right, right.
But I mean, I have two refrigerators and I have a freezer,
Mm-hmm.
what are those freezers called that you open the top, whatever it is.
Yeah, the
Right,
fridge.
exactly.
It's a deep freezer.
Thank you. I have one of those,
That's
and
where she
then
keeps the
the pantry
Yeah.
is a walk-in closet, and it's filled with stuff.
Yeah.
So there's never I buy in bulk. I think Costco and BJ's and like Sam's Club and stuff like that really help with one saving money. And we're only a household of two.
Yeah.
We're only a household of two. But I still buy in bulk for a lot of things. I buy cashew. I buy 5 pounds of nutritional yeast at once. So I
Yeah.
can get it for like $6 or $6.99 a
Yeah,
pound.
because that'll last about a week, right? I was call on Sangeeta in a second, but the other thing I was going to say, I think it is helpful to look at the items, think about the items that you use frequently. For us, it's chickpeas, bananas,
Hmm.
tomato sauce, and stuff like that, and just make sure that you've always got a supply on hand. Sangeeta.
Yeah. So I really like Susan's comment, like doing when while you are in kitchen doing one thing like eating breakfast, get something going on the stove or in the instant pot, um, and that way you're doing two things at a time. But I also have this habit of if you cook Indian meals, there is multiple courses. You're making lentils, you're making rice, you're making a salad separately,
Yeah.
and vegetables separately. So I have smaller containers that I put inside the Instant Pot so that everything
Oh,
is
that's great. Yeah.
separately and at the same time.
So you
Huh?
try to make things that all have about the same cooking time and stuff like that. So
Right.
that, yeah.
You said you have separate pots inside the Instapot? Make that, I'm
Right,
sorry.
like
Yeah, that's right.
smaller.
Oh,
Yeah. I
smaller.
have stacking containers. You can get them at
Oh,
the Indian
stacking
store.
containers. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I got it. I thought you were thinking like little cylinder round. I was like, what is that? Cylinder, but you mean
Like
stacking. I got
tiffin,
it.
is that what it's called? Tiffin? The
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like when you have your steam, you can stack steamers. It's like the same
Right.
thing conceptually.
Right.
Okay. I didn't
Yeah.
know you could do that. I didn't know the Instapot had that. They had those for the Instapot.
Yeah, it does that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if you buy a pressure cooker in India, it comes with those stacked containers inside.
Cool.
I
Yeah.
love Indian food. Why do we do these shows right before I eat dinner? I'm so freaking
I
hungry.
already ate. See, I got y'all.
All I can do is think about like an Indian buffet. It's like I'm getting the sweats here.
Yeah, and then I mean, this is just logistical. It makes common sense that when I have put something in the Instant Pot, or I will, whatever takes the longest to cook, I will start that, put it on the stove or in the Instant
Right.
Pot first, and then the other dishes like salad, I'll be mixing salad while it's still cooking. That
Right,
just
right.
common sense, but
Right.
it helps.
Mhm.
This is kind of an extension of batch cooking is to extend your meal. So if, like, you make a pot of chili or a stew or something like that. So you make this big thing, and then you could think about throughout the week, okay, I'm going to have that on a taco salad. I'm going to have that on chili dogs. I'm going to have that on, whatever, a baked potato. So cooking this large amount of one thing, and then you keep yourself from getting bored by constantly serving it in different easy ways, is a nice way to kind of keep variety going, but also reduce the busiest of your times.
I'm sorry. It also saves money. That's a very good one, Marla. It also saves a good amount of money because when you're multi-using, you're buying it once, but you're using it 4 times. So that's one of the things
Yes.
that when you're a meal prepper or you're a caterer, that's one of the things we always look for in doing. Like if I did a job, I would look for when I did meal prep. I had 10 items. They get 10 things a week. I use the same chickpea 5 different ways.
Yes.
I might use the beans. So that's very good tip. What you said.
Seriously, I need a fan because we're talking about like efficiency, saving money, and saving time, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's a
all
trifecta. That's a trifecta right there.
and eating. It's
Yep.
all right up my alley. I actually, even though it seems counterintuitive, well, obviously the Instant Pot is a time saver, Instant Pot. But I actually think a slow cooker is a time saver too, because I think people hear the word slow and they think you're standing over it, kind of, But honestly, you're maybe sauteing some things and putting them in there and forgetting it. And so I love a slow cooker. I think it really builds flavor. And talk about time saving. Woo! Seriously, I need a fan. You can do it overnight. Yeah, thank you, Don. Thank you. You can do it while you sleep. So you could put it in there the night before. You wake up the next day, you've got dinner, you've got lunch, you've got, so if you want to get really wild, that's what you can do. So I do that a lot around Thanksgiving because you're so time starved and crunched and, deprived of all these different, pots and pans and stuff like that, oven space. Using the slow cooker overnight is a great option. So Kimberly.
So with soup, which you can make in a slow cooker, so that's how I'm going to tie that in. If you're making a soup that freezes well, make a lot of it, double or triple it, and then freeze some of it so that you've got meals ready to go, like a full meal. One of our favorite soups is a vegan split pea soup, and it freezes so well. And so we just, every time I make it, I triple it
Yeah.
a bunch in the freezer, and then when there's one of those nights where I'm starving and I haven't started cooking yet, or for whatever reason we don't know what to eat, we just pull that out, and we like it so much, so we're like happy to have it.
Yeah, it's not like yeah.
Yeah.
It's. Do you have an extra freezer? Who here has a second freezer?
I used to. I don't have one anymore.
Yeah. Do you?
Well, because I downsized our house. The house in Greenville was bigger. Now we're in a smaller, so I got
Right.
rid of it. Mhm.
Right. You guys are kind of empty nesters, right? So,
Yeah.
It's. Do you guys do you feel it's worth the small investment of buying? Who have the yeah? 'Cause,
I it's full, and the two freezers and the refrigerators are pretty full.
yeah.
I mean, not as bad as they have been, but I've had two freezers full and refrigerators, and the freezer box freezer, whatever it's called, is full too.
Deep
And
freezer, Helene.
deep freezer.
Deep freezer.
Oh, I'm tired. It's a lot of obviously larger things will go in there, extra things will go in there if I buy things in bulk.
Bodies.
But part of I love what Kimberly's saying about soup and freezing it. I don't go back to those foods, and it doesn't matter how much I like them.
That's so interesting.
We tend to not go. We tend not to go back to stuff like that. And
Why? What do you think?
It's I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. It just isn't, and I can love it, like absolutely love it. We don't tend to freeze things for later unless it's something that has to be frozen to last. And then I also have do you have this where you have when you order something online and that's the only way you can get it, or you get it in another state and then you bring it home and you kind of hoard it and you don't eat it because you can't get it, and then you don't eat it to the point where it goes bad? Oh my gosh.
I'm a little too practical for that.
So it's a little bit of a neurosis because there's the mental part of I love this, I want it to last because it'll take a lot to get more of it, and I don't eat a lot of it because I can't get it. And then I don't eat it to the point where it's not good anymore.
Sangeeta. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Helene, what you said is a point of contention between Dilip and I, because when you buy food, the sooner you eat, fresher it is. It's holds it's going to lose nutrients. Even if you freeze it, it's going to lose that freshness. So why buy things if you're not going to eat it in the near future? But and to the point that they go bad, and that happens in our household a lot. And I come from a sort of a background where wasting food is
Simple, right?
frowned upon in my culture. So I can't watch that food going west, and every week I'm opening this refrigerator and throwing out things that we bought organic and fresh and expensive, and then we're just throwing it out. That somehow I have a lot of discomfort doing that.
Right. Well, stay away from Helene's house. It sounds like a
Well, our house is the same. Live with a foodie.
I have the same thing. I have the same thing, Sangeeta, and I didn't grow up in an Indian culture, but yeah, it feels like I seriously wake myself up with stress dreams about what could be going bad in our CRISPR. So, Dawn, what were you gonna say? And then Helene.
So, okay, cool. I was gonna say, I'm gonna backtrack now. So, Helene, the only thing I was gonna say about the loading up the deep freezers and things, especially since you don't like the the 32 ounce, the things that you made and left over, is just watching the amount of processed food, highly processed foods that are purchased. I think that becomes a little bit concerning from a nutritive perspective. It's good to have the space, but it's better to have it with cooked food, that not highly processed food. So that's my little nutritional disclaimer on that one. So yeah, but then on the Sangeeta said, I just wanted to say, so when you freeze food, it is at the height. So you lose nutrients in food when
Mhm.
you cook it, some, but freezing it doesn't make it lose more nutrients.
Right.
Does not. That's not scientific. That's not true. Just want to make sure for people that are watching who may not
Right.
know
Right.
that
Right. Right.
and even when they get frozen foods from the frozen department, it's way better than the canned stuff. Frozen
Right.
foods are not bad. Cooked foods that are frozen do not lose nutrients once they're cooked. They do not lose more nutrients. But I do understand what you were saying. I just wanted to clear that up for watchers
Right.
who
Flash
may not have
frozen.
known.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Mhm.
So just those
Okay.
two
So
things.
sorry.
Dawn made
Uh,
an assumption.
Kimberly, then I'm sorry, Helene, then
Wait,
Sangeeta. Yeah.
I
Dawn
did
made
make an
you
assumption.
made an
I did.
assumption that was that I mean, I need to go bring my phone. No, there's a lot of bagged frozen vegetables
Oh, I didn't say
in the
no. Yeah, so my
in that
part. So
freezer.
this was
Yeah,
just a cautionary thing for those who do
I know.
highly processed. I know
I
you
mean,
do that all the time. I know you do stuff.
I
I know you
I
mix it
mean,
up.
there is other stuff. I mean, normally those things end up in the everyday freezers as opposed to the
Mhm.
deep
Okay,
freezer. But I
Mhm.
do
right.
buy like large bags of frozen vegetables because
Okay.
I'm keeping fresh and
Mhm.
not getting to them. And one thing that I found recently, and this might have something to do with supply chain issues in the world,
Mm-hmm.
is that I'm buying the bags of we bought a bag of organic mini peppers from BJ's or Costco,
Mhm.
whichever one I did,
Mm-hmm.
and it went bad, like, it got
Mm.
moldy within a week.
Ooh.
And peppers take
A
really
long
long
time. Yeah.
time to
Mhm.
go bad. I also bought potatoes, like red potatoes from Whole Foods.
Mhm.
One of those potatoes got moldy.
Yeah.
That is, like, unheard of
Yeah.
for a potato. So, I don't there's some weirdness going on with fresh fruits and vegetables.
Right.
Whereas one of those lemons went bad. I threw that out last night and we compost, but there's that balance of getting to the food, buying it fresh. I want to, my intentions are that I want to. And I
Mhm.
typically buy for making sure that we're going to eat these things, you know,
Mhm.
but we don't always. And I mean, I compost, so that helps.
Right.
Helps a
Mm-hmm.
little, just
Mm-hmm.
go back to the earth. Go ahead, Don.
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
Kimberly
Quick,
first.
I had a question for Helena. Sorry, Marla.
Okay.
I had a
No,
question
go
for
ahead.
her. So when you said that there's a lemon that went bad and then the potato that went bad, so you are separating as opposed to assuming like I did last time. Do you separate the potatoes when you get them out of the 5 pound bag or 10 pound? Or are you leaving them in that bag? Let me ask that question.
They're in the bag.
That's such
Okay, so
a
that's it. So what I'll say on that, never leave your potatoes or lemons in the bag. When you get them from the store, you don't have to prep them all up and do what I do,
right, right,
Helene.
right.
But you need to take them out of the bag because there's humidity in that bag. And even though in the past that may
Oh,
not have been a problem, they're not doing
right.
potato sacks anymore and they're not doing paper bags. They're doing plastic bags. And plastic bags are not the best way to keep
Sure.
potatoes because of the
Right.
humidity. And the same thing with lemons. So you should take them out of the bag and let them breathe. They like to breathe. They don't like to breathe next to garlic or onions. They like to breathe on a shelf on their own. So if you want to keep a long-lasting life potato, keep them in open air.
That is such a really important and good tip, you
Mm-hmm.
know, is yeah, I mean, I think we could all learn how to extend the
The
lives
life.
of the
Mm-hmm.
produce. Yeah. Sangeeta.
Yeah, so Helene, I get your point that you don't like to make food in a big batch and then stick it in the freezer. But how about batters? Like a lot of Indian stores and Indian restaurants even will give you or sell, say, uttapam batter or dosa batter. And what if you buy some extra sambar and chutney and batter from them? And then when you have to eat, all you have to do is make that crepe, make that uttapam, and it's fresh. But then you also have the sambar and chutney to go with that. And it's almost like a freshly cooked meal.
Delicious.
That's incredible because I love dosas as long as there's no
Mhm.
fenugreek in it. So, but I mean, dosas would be incredible. I obviously won't be making one like I would get at an Indian restaurant. I don't have the size or capacity to do that, but I
Um,
can make it in a pan or
Mm-hmm.
some nonstick type pan because yeah. So, I mean, that's not a bad idea, and I probably will hit you up as to which
Mm.
restaurant locally
Mm.
would make sense to do that, since
Yeah.
you would know. And Dilip's there. Hey, Dilip. Dilip said
Mm.
lemon peel adds nice flavor to pressure cooked soups, as long as you clean that
That's
lemon
good.
peel. Yeah.
Well,
Great foods. Some foods are better stored at room temperature and some cooked. Let's rise anybody refrigerated tomatoes, for
Mhm.
example.
what did it say? I can't read that. What did it say? Read that again. What Dylan
Oh,
said. The
he
last
said,
one.
great point. Some foods are better stored at room temperature and some cooked. I'm surprised anybody refrigerated tomatoes, for example. I don't refrigerate tomatoes.
Mhm. Right.
Right.
And I
You're
know
not
this,
supposed to.
Philip,
Yeah.
too.
It's like you don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right.
avoid Teflon as well. Dilip and I had a conversation about this actually at Veg Fest while somebody was talking about Teflon. So we
Helene
just
had a conversation with me about this when Helene and I had one of our firefights. Helene did this to me. So, what pan are you using? I was like, "What? Who are you?" I said, "Are you sure that? What kind of pan is that?" From my Facebook picture.
Yeah.
Anyway, Helene is the pan police. Everybody, just to let you know,
Oh,
she's the pan
police.
police.
Oh
Pan
man.
police. Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. It's ceramic.
I've heard that about Helene. I've heard
She
that about
is. She literally said, "Is
your
that what kind of
reputation
pan?"
precedes you.
That's
Man.
hysterical. Oh my
All right.
goodness.
I've got oh, I'm sorry, Kimberly. Yes.
So, Dawn, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure any pan is nonstick if it's hot enough.
Right. No, yes, thank you. But I just think it was so funny. Thank you,
That's
Kimberly. Thank you for that.
awesome.
Yes, any pan is non-stick if it's right. And if you put some water, if you're cooking right, if you're not trying to fry everything up, it's gonna be good. So
Right.
yeah.
Also
But
just like
Helene is the
clean
pan
it.
police. That's just she's got the title. That's it.
Man.
Just wait
Not
to our show
cool.
about appliances. Just wait. I'm leading
Not
that one.
okay. So I've got a few more
There
tips.
you
I'm
go.
curious
Yep.
what you guys think. One is, when you heat up your stove, say you're baking a casserole or something like that, um, there's often just you're not using much of the stove, so utilize the whole stove. Like if you've already got a hot stove going on, why not bake some sweet potatoes? Why not roast some garlic? Why not
Mm-hmm.
use more of that efficient heat or gas, so that you can create more things at once, so
Right. That's
that's
good.
one of the things I do or try to do. Another idea is like if your produce is organic, um, and you wash it well, you don't necessarily have to peel your carrots and potatoes, right? I mean, that saves you a little bit of time. It depends on what your preference. Some people probably don't want to eat potato or peels. I don't care. So that's another thing. Um, Another idea is this is what we do in our house is make breakfast a no-brainer. It seems like so many of my friends are always, like, what do I make for breakfast? It's like, you've been going through this for 50 years and you still don't know what to do for breakfast. So, like, for me, breakfast has to be simple. It's a smoothie, it's got fruit, and it's got, kale and stuff like that in there, or overnight oats are another idea, chia, pudding or whatever. So, making breakfast where you probably don't want to put a lot of brain power into it, as simple as possible, is another way of just find something that you like and make it. Like I eat have my smoothie all the time and I don't get bored with it. Another idea is to read your recipe. If you're following a recipe, read your recipe through the whole way. It's surprising to me how often you can kind of skip around and forget that, you might get blindsided by something that, like, oh, I was supposed to be doing this, and oh, damn, this is supposed to be soaking for 2 hours or whatever. So, reading your recipe through the whole way,
Mm-hmm.
following a recipe. Um, Consolidate your movements in the kitchen. Try to keep the things that are in common use near you, and maybe organize together. Yes, Don.
So on recipes, there are a lot of. Here's a tip on quick. Just there are a lot of recipes like the what's her name? Simple Veganista or something. There are a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
those
yeah.
vegan. I don't remember the Simple
I'm
Veganista, but
familiar with.
they're the minimalist baker. These kind of people. Those folks give you quick and easy recipes, and you can find those. And if you go to a Google search, you can put in a Google search 15-minute vegan recipes, and you can save a lot of time that way. You just have to have the ingredients. And of course, typically, again, stocking your pantry gives you an opportunity to have some of those. So there are a lot of good free recipes that you don't have to go looking at a cookbook.
Right.
You can go on your phone, Kindle,
Yeah.
as well as that, and plan ahead and pull your recipe ahead. But I
Mhm.
like the idea of going to those simple sites. If you want something super quick and easy, I would go to those sites.
Yeah, that's really
Mhm.
a good tip is just to utilize Google better. Just use your search term or use whatever search engine you use.
Right,
And
right. Just refine that search. Yeah.
right. Kimberly.
A comment on the cookbook thing. So anytime you make a recipe in a cookbook that is yours, I
Mhm.
encourage you to write notes in there.
Yeah.
If there was some ingredient that was impossible to find, or you hated it, or you tweaked it a little different and it came out better, write that down, because there's
Right.
no guarantee you're going to remember it.
Right. That's true. I used to do that much more often. And Helene, yes, and then Sangeeta.
I don't write anything down. This is why this whole thing is just not surprising. Is it? When I cook, I don't measure. So sometimes it's amazing. Well, the food will be amazing and
Mhm.
it'll never be like that again.
You don't know how you got there.
It'll be something different the next time because I'm
Well,
just kind of throwing everything together. I'm one of those people. And
Helene
I
won't be doing a cookbook.
I I I, I wanted to create a cookbook for people like me who
Mhm.
season and taste and base things on feel and
Intuitive.
touch as opposed to being linear and having to measure every single thing exactly as the recipe because I when I follow a recipe I hate the food.
Well,
Maybe you haven't
I
had the right
always, it's
recipe.
never
Maybe you
not
haven't
enough
had the
garlic.
right
Yeah.
recipe. You haven't had the right
Never is
recipe, maybe.
garlic enough. Garlic's always like a teaspoon. What the hell am I doing?
Sangita and Dilip are having like a nice conversation about
Yeah.
soup and having
Sangeeta.
it.
So, to add to what Kimberly just said, we have Indian festivals that most often they are annually. You cook something on that particular festival, like Holi, you cook
Mhm.
something. New Year's Day, you cook something. And if I have tried a recipe and some proportion has worked better and not worked better, I will add it to my Google Calendar for next year's
Okay.
Mhm.
date. And that way, I have it. Okay, last time this is the lesson I learned, and I'm gonna stick to that now.
Very smart. Very smart. It's like just taking that I think a lot of these tips like that is just taking that extra time that's not much and it pays off dividends later. A couple more little quick ideas is to put like say you have bulk items, whether it's rice or quinoa or whatever, put them in clear containers so you always see what you're working with. So you don't, you're expecting to make some sort of, rice casserole or something, and then finding out, oh man, I got to run to the store. So, when
Right.
it's in a clear container, you always know what you're working with. And it also encourages you to use those items. And then the last one is not so much about cooking, but it's the thing that all the chefs tell you to do. And I'm so, so bad at clean as you go. Clean as you go. My attitude is if I'm cooking, I'm not cleaning. So that's somebody else's problem. But, but I don't know what. Yeah. Yes, Don.
So I got in that habit just because it saves you time. It
Yes.
still requires cleaning the dishes that you ate on, that. But if you clean as you go, you're not going to have a whole sink full of dishes, right? You just have the dishes from dinner, right? And
Simple.
that's Anthony's job. Like Anthony's job is the dinner dishes in the dishwasher, right? Or just washing. But I've already done the processed dishes,
Right.
and
Right.
then
Right.
I know I even am a little, but then again, I use the same pan. Like I finished with that when I have this pot going, I take that pan, I use it again. I don't want to wash seven. I washed whole kitchens, 3 compartment sinks of dishes. I have no interest in that life. So
Right.
I try to utilize as
Right.
little dishes as possible, clean as I go. Mhm.
I'm gonna call on Helene, but one of the things I was gonna say is like if I'm cooking for ourselves and our household, I'm, and I've warmed up some soup in this pot. I'm not going to go and scrub and wash and stuff. Like if I'm heating something up after that, it's got the nice flavor from the soup before. It doesn't matter. It's not like it's been sitting out like for 3 days, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that like, unless there's an express reason for it, I don't think everything needs to be, scrubbed between each dish unless you're cooking.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Anyway, Helene, yes.
Well, I am about efficiency, and if you can't tell that I cooked after because it is the
That's
kitchen looks the same as when we started, and I like to I make pasta and I use a wooden flat. It's not a spoon, but I use a wooden. It's just a wooden spatula, and I use that to mix the pasta, and then I'll use that to mix it when whatever I'm mixing in the pasta, and then I serve it with that spoon. And Steven's like, "This isn't a spoon," but the reason is this neurosis. I don't want to clean another thing, but he doesn't mind because he's the one cleaning the stuff.
Yeah.
Because I cook and he does the cleaning. So he's just like, I'll clean the others. I'll clean the spoon to dish the pasta out. And I'm like, well, this works. And you get less of it.
But it doesn't save time. It's
spatula.
And it doesn't save time. It's like the little teeny scoop on the spatula versus the spoon.
Yeah.
The difference.
Well, it's funny because he brought a spoon to the table last night with the pasta, and pasta ended up on the table, and I was like, it doesn't happen with the spatula. It's just funny. But yeah, I'm about efficiency.
Yeah.
And having things close by, I agree with that. But I also have my kitchen's the largest room in the house. I do like sliding on the floor, going back and forth to getting things and like, making like timing stuff and like running around and like moving. I do like to do that, but that's also part of probably my neurosis.
Well, I think it sounds like you kind of enjoy it being a little freeform and a little, improvised. And I think, and I really am the same way. I don't sit and methodically, look at recipes. One of the things I'm thinking though is, having a variety of, like, say you use a certain kind of spatula a lot, have more than one of them. Yeah. You know what I mean? I use pastry brush a lot, for coating a surface of a cleaning So get 2 of those, so if one's dirty, you don't have to take the time to, so yeah.
That's good. I've made your recipes, Marla, and I've changed them. I don't any recipe I follow, I change. Somehow, some way, I make some editing to it.
Because do you change it the first time, or you change it after you've had it, or you
change it the first time?
That's
very
fine.
rarely.
But why would you change it the first time if you've never had it? Why would you do that?
Because it might be I don't have one of the ingredients, but I know I can use something else.
It's a modification.
2, I could have all the ingredients, and I just want to add something different.
And I think
don't get my cookbook. You're banned from my cookbook, then. Don't be. I'm not going to give you one. I'm not going to give you one now.
I think that's one of the unsung benefits of becoming more intuitive and comfortable with cooking is that you can look at a recipe and know how you would modify it.
Right.
You don't have to follow it to the letter. Although my recipe should always be followed exactly to the
letter. Mine too.
No.
Well, we're out of time.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's the show.
I can't think of anything more to add. I think it's been a really great conversation though.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I like the light ones. Light ones are good.
Okay, I have one more thing. I do
it.
have one more idea. Theme nights. So if you have a hard time deciding what to eat and you want to keep it simple, do theme nights.
Yeah,
I like that.
Then every Tuesday, Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, Taco Tuesday, breakfast for dinner, different kinds of, it's so
Burger
true.
night.
Yeah, if you're having just idea issues, I think that's
yeah. Makes it
the
easy to repurpose
consistency.
those
Yeah.
things like you were saying earlier. Mm-hmm.
The consistency of having something. I know Laura's big on Taco Tuesday. That's a very big thing for her. So it makes sense. If only I could follow that. I just can't.
Helene does not follow rules. That's
You
what
know
we
she
got
likes
here.
to slide
No
around the
rules.
kitchen with that,
And she likes to talk about your pans.
that
Rules are
freezer.
made for you to break.
She has rules around pans. That's it.
Like deep freezer. What's in your deep freezer, Helene? I want to know.
Bodies.
That's really bad.
No dead bodies in the deep freezer. There's a lot of frozen gluten-free bread. Because I've been eating gluten, so there's been gluten-free bread in there for a while, and some of this stuff is just going to have to go away. There's, like I said, there's a lot of frozen vegetables in there. So as we go through, we'll eat those because they last forever. So that's a good thing. Thank you, Susan. So, all right, thanks for picking on me when I opened myself up to it. Just wait till the show. It's in. When is it? When we talk about favorite kitchen implement, it's on what week is that? 5/11. Just wait, everybody.
I'm missing that week. I'm not gonna be there.
Oh man, that's gonna be a 2-hour session. No, don't.
And Kathy Hester is going to be a guest that day. So we have somebody who has between the two of us, we have every appliance possible. It's gonna be and she'll do show and tell as well. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And just so since we have everyone, next week we also have a guest. And we're doing the hidden cruelty of animal ag next week, which is incredibly important. So we're going from light to deep and very important.
Yeah.
And what's Jenny's last name?
Jenny McQueen.
Jenny McQueen is our guest next week. So we're going to start bringing on guests. So that is really cool. So you definitely want to tune in next week at 7 p.m. Dawn, you'll be here, right? You'll make it?
Yes, I'll make it.
Okay, awesome. I have an event on Sunday.
But I have to be in Greenville on Wednesday. And then
Do you have something coming up? How about you, Helene? Do you guys have something coming up?
I have Wilmington Veg Fest on Sunday in Wilmington, North Carolina. And Dawn, you have a week from Saturday.
Right, I have Ed Summit, Eat, Drink, Disrupt Chronic Disease Summit, number 3.
So exciting.
So Greenville, South Carolina, Saturday, 11 to 6. We're out of all tickets except for general admission. Get them, and you can do virtual. So I'm almost out of tickets. So
what's the website, John?
herbandeats.com / or whatever the slash thing Summit.
I'm not writing that down.
Just go, you can go to urbaneats.com.
Yeah, just go to urbaneats.com, urban-eats.com, urban-eats.com, and then you'll find Ed Summit, Ed, not Ted. Just think about it like the Ed, not Ted. Ed
Perfect.
Summit.
That's perfect. Yeah, in Wilmington, our VIP tickets are sold out, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then you can just come general admission and enjoy. Susan will be there.
Susan's hanging out. Susan's traveling. Susan's coming traveling. To both, so you'll see Susan twice. You'll see her at your event, and then we'll see her the next week. Yeah.
Susan's part of our team. She travels to all our events, which is awesome. All right, we could keep talking. I could talk like Veg Fest stuff and event stuff for hours. So I'm gonna put everyone in the green room, and we're gonna end this up. Bye, Marla. Bye, Sangeeta. Bye, Kimberly. Bye, Dawn. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for watching The Vegan Stew. We really appreciate you. We are the Stew Crew, and we might be adding another person to the show who did tune in tonight. So hopefully you're still there and you want to join us. So let's see. Next week, we're going to talk about what the show is, which is we never do that. I looked it up while we were live. So we have that. And you even know what's going to happen the week after. Even better. And we have guests coming on, which is really cool. Let's see. Subscribe to The Vegan Stew on YouTube. Be kind to one another. I don't know. Wear a mask still. COVID is still COVID. And we want everyone to be safe. Even though I know you're bored and sick and tired of a pandemic. Guess what? The pandemic doesn't care. So science is still science. And we still believe in it at The Vegan Stew. So I guess, be safe. And other than that, subscribe to Vegan Stew, subscribe to Virtual Veg Fest Live on YouTube, enter a contest at virtualvegfestlive.com to win the cool prize packs. And we will see you next week, or maybe I'll see you in Wilmington on Sunday. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.